Yeah, so the properties that we're able to find are very critical. And it's all about the purchase price relative to the market's normal demand. And so usually we're taking something where the quality of it is such that we want to buy it so bad because it's such a piece of crap. The most recent example I have of that is a property in Indianapolis that has 50 units of the 100 vacant. And all of those 50 units aren't just vacant, they're boarded up. They have active sewage leaks. They are moldy. They're nasty. That's so important to me because I know what that amount, what it costs. I know how much time it's going to take. And then I know what it's going to be worth when it's done. I just need to find the opportunity to do it. And that's the hard part.
Your network is your net worth. Come listen to some of the most successful people I know share invaluable knowledge, stories, and advice in real estate, business, and beyond. This is Weiss Advice. Whether you want to take your business or personal life to the next level, look no further. Welcome back to another episode of Weiss Advice. I'm your host, Yonah Weiss, as always. And with me today, we got Ross Hubbard from sunny Washington State. What's going on, Ross?
Thank you for the introduction, Yonah. I appreciate it. Yeah, it's been very sunny lately. I think I had 116 on the dash driving down I-5 yesterday. I can believe it. We've not seen that ever. So It's been remarkable.
Yeah. It doesn't get that high ever.
Yeah. Thank goodness, because we're not equipped for it. It's like we have brownouts and the air conditioners that are owned or working overtime. I mean, my house was still 85 and the air conditioning was not turned off for 48 hours. Yeah.
Oh, that's crazy. It's like kind of crazy times right now. A lot of places kind of seeing some heat waves all across the country. But let me give a little introduction. Let's get our listeners to know who we're talking with today. Just, a little, if you don't know Ross, he is, like I mentioned, out of Washington State. He's a real estate investor, licensed broker as well. He is currently the head of acquisitions at Sage Investment Group, which is you're a partner in founding that company, co-founder, and doing a lot of real estate deals. I mean, we first came across one another a few years back, and you're doing a beautiful reposition deal of a property down in Tucson, and you come a long way. I mean, really, to be honest.
Yeah, that's coming full circle too. We're actually selling that asset right now. It's supposed to close contractually on July 2nd, this Friday.
Oh, wow. Amazing.
So it's been a phenomenal experience. We had a really unique opportunity there. And then we were adjusted in terms of strategy by COVID as the University of Arizona shut down and the economy shifted. So we changed our strategy from being a student housing project, because this is five blocks outside of the University of Arizona, 175 units, a couple of commercial, like a Mexican restaurant and a mini mart, and then the rest residential. And so right there, serving primarily students, the previous tenant base had been. So we ended up opening that up to the general population. Now we only have 20% student base. We have spread out lease end dates across the calendar year. So we're very well organized and able to operate efficiently, line up renovation needs and unit turns without having that student housing crash and burn you have every August.
Yeah.
So it's been phenomenal.
So
we purchased that property for $8.5 million, put $2.7 million into the total renovation. And now we're selling it for $18.5 million. And that was 2 years. Just April 2019 to present. We touched every surface and we completely re-evolved the tenant base. I mean, it used to be a hotel in part, but it's been an awesome journey. And we're 93% occupied and heading to close.
That's amazing. Did you have to change up like the layouts of certain apartments in any way? Because I imagine student housing is a little bit different kind of layouts than a normal apartment would be.
The common areas, yes, but the individual units, no. We were really lucky. This is a hotel built in 1954. And so it had studio units for every unit, full kitchen, the whole 9 yards. It had been modified over time. What I like to look for, and what everybody does, I suppose, is really good infrastructure. Right. So don't make me change anything really. Just make it look prettier. That's all I'm wanting to do.
Gotcha.
So we were able to get in there, analyze that the structure was ultimately very strong, no electrical or roofing, plumbing needs, nothing needing upgrading or modification there. So we just increased the cosmetic appearance. And then the common areas, we just made more modern, opened up the non-load bearing walls, put in big open areas for amenities like pool tables and whatnot. But it's all at the Sahara.com. You can see the full website of the property.
Very cool. Yeah, that's awesome. It's exciting when you get something like that and you're coming full circle, right? It's a whole couple of years of your life, just putting into that project.
Yeah, it's exhilarating. We were able to do a lot of good out there as well. We had a lot of extra furniture. We donated to Casa Timoteo down in Mexico, which is an orphanage serving children in need, orphans. So it's fun to be able to get back to the community, build up something from kind of a crappy, place that it used to be, and making it what it is now. It's beautiful, market rent, and very valuable. So investors are encouraged by that. Obviously, we're able to achieve 35% annual IRR. And they're super happy to be able to look towards the next investment and do a little tax deferral and continue on.
Yeah, absolutely. How did you come across? I mean, you didn't start off with like a 175 unit, right? You have a bunch of smaller projects up until that point, right?
Yes. Yeah. The history was very organically small. I mean, I graduated from WSU in 2010. I came out, my mind was made up. I'm going to own the business my parents started when I was 8 years old. That's a painting contracting business. It's been great to my family. I saw them work and serve clients like every single day, every hour it seemed at times. And growing up in that environment really made me motivated to want to take it over. And so that's what I was planning on doing. Mm-hmm. So I started outside of painting. I started to do a little side work, which was buying real estate. And at the time, it was 2011. The market was in the pits still. The auction market was not frothy. There was a lot of inventory, not a lot of buyers. Mm-hmm. So I got engaged there. And I started to buy properties at auction and then foreclosure and short sale. So I ended up with about 7 single families, cash flowing. My initial goal was to simply be able to have my wife stay. So I was making $3,000, passively a month, actively working on my passive income money. Right. And ultimately getting to the point where I couldn't, borrow anymore because I had too many mortgages according to Fannie Mae, and right. I didn't have enough liquidity. So then I started to get into, that same year, I fell from a ladder, 18 feet, and messed up my body really bad. Oh, wow. I had surgery, was off my feet, and had to get a new career going. That's for sure. I was not interested in going back and couldn't see my future there any longer. And so I started brokering. So I got into the business of being a real estate broker and showed everyone what I was doing for myself. And mm-hmm. I can create this for you. I'll benefit from it from a commission. You'll benefit from it as a rental owner, and then we'll continue on. So I did that to the extent as much as I could. Really, I brokered a lot of transactions in the state of Washington, and then I got into multifamily first as a broker and then as an owner. And when I realized I could do the same thing there, where I was renovating, tenant occupying, increasing the NOI, mm-hmm. and then of course refinancing to recapitalize and do it again. Yeah, I couldn't believe that opportunity was available. So I just repeated that, and I started to get as many partners as I could, family and friends, but then outside of my immediate network as well, and providing them with returns. And ultimately that's led to where we're at now, which is a portfolio of about 18 assets all across the country, representing approximately 800 units and growing. And we're organized within the Sage Investment Fund, which is a fund that's a private equity fund. Casey mm-hmm. Stratton and I founded just last year, and we're selling shares of that. So it's just a security, and what it owns is the underlying investments, meaning all the multifamily assets that mm-hmm. we own together cumulatively. Gotcha. All that net income, it gets paid out as a dividend, and we're doing a quarterly dividend, be about 10% a year for that first year, and then increasing from there. As we stabilize and continue to grow the portfolio, we're able to increase that dividend yield, and we're also able to reassess the total price for the share.
So how do you go about finding like deals still in this crazy competitive market? I mean, are you using your advantage as a broker to find like off market deals and stuff, or that's not even possible?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it really started as a broker because you get intertwined within the business, and when you close on properties, you get cold called a lot. So title record searches are things companies invest in for their brokers. So I get cold called when I close a transaction in Tacoma or in Lakewood or wherever here. Somebody's going to call me up and say that they have this off-market deal available. I'm going to take a look at it. That happens a lot now. But what I had invested in...
Who's cold calling you? I mean, are there buyers, sellers, owners?
Primarily brokers.
Oh, other brokers are calling you.
Yeah, they're all brokers with various firms that are alleging to have some type of buying opportunity.
Gotcha.
Yeah, sometimes they're real, sometimes they're not.
Right. They're just trying to put you on a list.
Yeah, exactly. And then there are a lot of wholesalers and just kind of general networking within the industry. My local meetup groups before COVID happened, that was really effective. And once you grow those and you start to close on those, they just expand upon themselves. And then this year, I was really intentional about the evolution because we wanted to enter different markets in addition to where we already were across the country. And that required an extra push and effort. So I brought on a role called an acquisition specialist. I'm the head of acquisitions, and the individual specialists, they're targeting their market that I've tasked them with, integrating themselves within it as if they were a broker there, and then harvesting any off-market opportunities to be able to see what's what. Now that allows us to do a few things. We cherry pick, of course, for the Sage Investment Fund so that we can get the best of the best deals. And then all that other intrinsic value that's been created as a result of being a conduit to the connection for the sale, we sell. So we will assign a contract for a fee to another investor. And I have a network of investors that is there simply just to do that because they want above 10% ROI, but my threshold's 15, their threshold being lower. They're still very happy. I'm very honest and transparent about why I'm not buying it and about exactly what it represents and what it will be for them. So it's a really simple conversation, providing an opportunity, and then it's up to the investor if they want to pick that up or not.
Well, that's awesome. I mean, it gives you a lot more flexibility when you're looking at properties, right? Not just looking from one perspective, but kind of looking at them from a multiplicity of options, what to do with them.
Yeah, absolutely. And it really allows us to continue to add to our effort because these individual agents, they're being compensated for their individual closings. So they want to be able to build and grow more. Right. So it's quite fun. And that's like the best part about it is you're meeting so many different needs for different people. Like the investors really want the deal flow and they really want to just make that 10%. And then the acquisition guys, they really want a commission so they can take care of their families. So the world just kind of keeps going around and around as a result of everyone providing what each other needs.
Yeah. What are some of those markets that you're kind of moving into or have moved into that are outside of your ordinary?
Some are going to be quite a surprise. The Rust Belt, we're looking at Illinois, Indiana, Ohio. These are areas that have been suffering population decline in some circumstances. And that can look very intimidating, but there's also a time to capitalize upon it. I think that time is now. So we've been buying pretty heavy in Illinois and Indiana. We have very low prices per unit, very high relative rents. Demand is crazy out there, and there's no inventory available, and there's certainly no quality inventory available. Lots of slums. So we want to be able to take that and recreate it, reposition it, so that we can have quality, low income, affordable housing. Now, and within that, we're bringing these programs to these areas too, so we can give back to the community. So you've heard of like the labor ready type of workforce, stuff like that, where you can integrate these different companies that can then go and provide their services and collaborate with tenants about new employment opportunities. Very basic stuff. And then something called Sagey Baby, which we've launched, that is providing diapers and formula and basic necessities to families with children in our apartments. And we'll have a monthly stipend, basically. They get delivered their size of diapers and their formula. Boom. That's it. Property management facilitates everything, all through a nonprofit organization, which is also being boosted up by some of our vendors that are also investors, like buyers for Costco.
Gotcha. Wow, that's amazing. I mean, that's something that really, anyone listening to this who is an apartment investor also, they're just like creative ways to improve the quality of the community in the apartments that you own. I mean, that's just a great idea, especially if you have kind of workforce housing. There's certainly going to be children of that age that can benefit from that, to families that have daycare and things like that. That's awesome. So when you say Illinois, like, are you talking major metros, or are you more out in kind of tertiary markets?
We're both southwest suburbs of Chicago, like Matson, Blue Island. These are areas that are working class, fairly low income, but very robust rental markets.
Gotcha.
And we also have Bourbonnais as a good example of more of a tertiary market, an hour and a half south of Chicago, but still very robust population with its own industry, its own big employer that's actively bringing on high-level executives that are making six-figure incomes. And, that's primarily what Chicago has been, driving away as a city, as a metro area. But now you see these pockets that are developing as a result of local initiatives and things that are separate from the Chicago base. So it's just unique individual opportunities. And we have excellent teams there, so we can plug and play. Property management, renovation, we know what to expect. It's my family. It's my wife's family, actually.
Oh, gotcha.
They're just a huge, I think we have 100 first cousins.
Oh,
So
wow.
I've got this incredible network built throughout that Midwest. And now that we're all in our 30s and we're actively doing something and driving towards something, we're building together, which is really fun. So just whether it's brokers or insurance or bankers, they're all there. And
That's
they all know
so cool.
me. Yeah, it's fun.
That's great.
Makes things easy.
You have a existing team of fans and business associates all already lined up.
That's right. Yes, that's right. Absolutely. You got to love it.
And when you can help benefit everyone collectively, I mean, when you're making money, everyone's making money.
I know. And it's so fun. And that's what we had been, over this past 6 months, I've been pretty humbled because as we had taken these individual partnerships, they're all LLCs, these assets that have been previously held, and incorporated them into Sage. We had to have a conversation with everybody where it's like, this is what we're doing now. What do you think? This is how we're going to be able to grow. These are the fees that are in place. And the vast response, I've literally had one say no out of the whole group, was yes, absolutely. And how much more can we invest? You've made 3x on my money in the past 7 years. Yeah. Like, what else do we got to do with you? Yeah. And so it's just, that type of feedback and encouragement was awesome. And we're excited to launch.
Very cool. And what do you see as the future? Right now, you guys have about 800 units under management. Where do you see this going in the next 5 years?
Yeah, units are ranging between $50,000 to $75,000 per unit price in general. So I expect that our goal is in 5 years to 10x the assets under management. That represent around $700 million in assets. Looking upwards of 6,000 to 7,000 units, depending upon the total cost per door. Mm-hmm. That ends up baking out over the next 5 years as inflation happens and things get more expensive.
Right.
So that's my general expectation. But really, it's not about the quantity, it's about the quality. It's about the rate of return that the investors receive. And we want to have that exceeding our 10% current. So we're pushing towards that 15% ROI cash on cash. That's not derivative of sales or refinances, but rather cash flow. Mm-hmm. And then that IRR really humming, where we're creating 25, 30% plus every year. So that when you're receiving an opportunity to invest with us because we need capital and we're investing in a new project, it happens in hours rather than days or months.
That's awesome.
So that we can really show that we're here to serve. Mm-hmm. And we have a model and it works. And yes, we collectively as managers of that make a good living, mm-hmm. but only if you do.
Right. Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Of course. How do you find, it's crazy to me. To see, I see some managers and some people promising, 6% preferred return and, all kinds of things like that, 8%. And to be able to produce, such high returns to your investors, would you say that has a lot to do with just the quality of the properties that you're able to find or what other important things?
Yeah, so the properties that we're able to find are very critical. And it's all about the purchase price relative to the market's normal demand. And so usually we're taking something where the quality of it is such that we want to buy it so bad because it's such a piece of crap. The most recent example I have of that is a property in Indianapolis that has 50 units of the 100 vacant. And all of those 50 units aren't just vacant, they're boarded up. They have active sewage leaks. They are moldy. They're nasty. That's so important to me because I know what that amount, what it costs. I know how much time it's going to take. And then I know what it's going to be worth when it's done. I just need to find the opportunity to do it. And that's the hard part.
Yeah. So you're looking for heavy lifts, right?
Looking for really heavy lifts. Because my background in construction, my access to the trades is such that it only makes sense to utilize my experience for the highest and best value, which is taking something from destroyed to rent ready.
That's awesome.
So that's the key.
Yeah, which is pretty, I wouldn't say unique by any sense, but pretty, not the average, I would say, from especially in my network. And obviously I'm working with, hundreds of people around the country. And most people, we hear the syndicators and all these kind of things, they're looking for value add, light value add, these kind of things where they're looking to bump rents and maybe upgrade the units and the this and that. But when you're looking at a really different product, and so it gives you a bigger advantage because they're actually in some of these neighborhoods and some of these areas, there's a lot more inventory so less competition. Yeah,
sometimes. Yeah, and we also look for unique circumstances. Anytime somebody takes over assets with foreclosure, like a debt situation, mm-hmm. We're after that. So there's some other variables that help us, get engaged.
Oh, very cool. No, that's awesome to hear because it's nice to hear different perspectives. You always have, hearing the same thing all the time. You have any, I love stories. Do you have any any great stories, like a horror story or a great story, a property that you came across, or that was just like you want to share with us?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm walking in, I'm doing a full property inspection. One of my rules that I don't break is that if I buy it, I'm seeing every single unit. And that means if I'm buying it for me, if I'm buying it for the fund, I am going into physically every unit. So that takes a lot of time.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of sellers in particular don't understand that, especially when they're trying to hide something. So I'm going to this property, and the seller's taking me through, and he's like, okay, this is our worst unit. And I said, okay, let's take a look. So we walk in there, it smells like garbage. There's a bunch of stuff left behind by the tenants. There's drywall damage, et cetera. The usual nonsense that you find when somebody's left in a hurry. So bad, I'll grant you that. Surprised that it was the worst one as well. So I was just like, all right, let's continue on. So I am physically out there with a T12 screw bit and a driver, and I'm running out of batteries every 30 minutes, unscrewing all of the sheets of plywood that are on every door and window, because I got to get into these units. And so I'm seeing every single one. And the seller's looking at me, he's like, are you crazy? Like, you're going to get into every one? I just showed you the worst one. And so I go through all of them, the third floor, second floor, then I finally get to the real winners, which is the first floor. And I walk into one that is so bad. It's actively leaking. There's a half an inch of water on the floor. Drywall is off all of the walls. The bathroom has this big water, spot from the floor joist that's coming down. And I'm wondering where this water is coming from, because it's not a drain line. It's not an active water line. I'm like, okay, what's going on? So we go and figure out the stack. And like, the second floor, have him flush his toilet. Third floor, have him flush his toilet. And I'm down there on the phone waiting for the guys to do their thing. And in the meantime, looking for water drips that are active.
Right.
So they flush the third floor toilet, and sure enough, drip, drip, drip. It's coming from the leaky seal in the third floor toilet, from the drain, discharge, wastewater, all the way down the wall from the second floor and into the first floor unit. And it's getting on me, and I'm in it. And I now come to the realization that this is poop water and I need to leave. So that's probably the best story. But it also saved me $2.5 million, because over the course of all of my understanding of the reality of the property, I was able to use my position of knowledge as leverage. Mm-hmm. And I mean, if I hadn't seen all of those, he could have continued to lie to me, and I would have probably paid more because I was ignorant to the reality of what was there. Mm-hmm. And then later I would have been slapped by a change order. So it would have been brutal all the way around.
Wow.
So you got to see them all.
Yeah, no, especially when you're dealing with those type of properties, you definitely have to see every single unit without exception.
Yeah. Yes, especially those type. That's for sure.
Yeah. If, when a seller is so forthcoming to tell you that, oh, this is the worst one, when you have other ones that are boarded up, I mean.
Well, they were all boarded up, to be fair.
All right, okay.
But yes, it was pretty bad.
That is pretty bad.
Solid omission. He made himself scarce for that part. He conveniently had a meeting before we got past the second floor.
Right. Yeah. And you take over in that position over there. But like you said, it gives you more opportunity, gives you more leverage as the buyer, because more knowledge is power, for sure, especially in this. The more you know, the more you can actually bring to the table.
Oh yeah, I mean, I really couldn't have been more excited. That was a great day. It's just I made so much money per hour that day. It was ridiculous. I mean, when you get that type of price discount because of just that level of information, it makes a huge difference.
That's amazing. Well, good for you. Mm-hmm. So Ross, I want to transition now to the final four. These are 4 questions I ask all my guests, and the time flies over here. But the first question for you is, what's the worst job that you ever had?
Oh man, the worst job I ever had was probably just the hottest, which is I like the painting a lot. When I was a painting contractor, I felt it would be very gratifying to have something you take from, kind of ugly to beautiful. But it gets really hot. And so sometimes you're up on a roof that's black tar and paint and trim out in the middle of the summertime, trying not to fall. And you're up there doing your thing. And that's the worst. I mean, you're messy, you're sweaty, it's disgusting. There's usually like a hornet's nest or something. And it's very, very hot. So that would probably be the worst. But it also taught me a lot, because I understand what I wanted to do and how I could work smarter rather than harder. And here I am, all because of those steps. So I wouldn't discount them necessarily, but that was definitely tough.
For sure. No, and we always have to learn from all those experiences. But it's like you said, it's usually those labor intensive jobs that teach us, what we're really good at and how to spend our time more efficiently. So I appreciate that. Right. What's a book you've read that's given you a paradigm shift?
Ooh, yeah, this was a little while ago. Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Kiyosaki. It's just amazing. It's not necessarily the book as much as the concepts the book unveils and understanding what those are in reality, rather than just someone that's trying to sell you something. So whole life insurance, universal life insurance, these are tools that are contractually built to make you money compound over time. And if you start when you're young, when you're nice and healthy, and you just let it do its thing for 30 years and you're actively investing into it, it's worth millions of dollars. Yeah. And you can loan against it. Like, you can borrow it at a simple rate of interest, make interest only payments once a year, and then you can use that cash again while it's contractually making a 4% compound rate of interest and invest it into real estate that's making 10 to 15. It's just, I mean, that's a paradigm shift. Yeah, it was a mind blow. And
that's huge.
You see the actuary Excel charts, and they're all the way out to 2050. And I'm like, it's going to be worth how much? Okay, let's do this. And I think that if more people knew about that, whether you're a high income earner or not, I mean, the more income that you end up having, the more you can invest in it, and the better it'll look. But still, it's all relative. So if you're just putting in your total, flex rider, a couple $1,000s a year, that's going to compound over time. And compound interest is the eighth wonder of the world. One of the best things that you can do for your money. So I'd recommend that highly. Read that book. Talk to somebody that sets up professional whole life, universal life insurance policies.
Yeah, absolutely. And we actually, we just actually had on the show, I mean, this is going to air a few weeks out from when we actually record this, but we had Russ Morgan, Joey Moore from the Wealth Without Wall Street. So if anyone wants to check that out, episode number 140, those guys went into great detail onto infinity banking and all that kind of stuff. So good stuff.
Great. Nice.
Yeah. For a third question, which is, what is a skill or talent that you would like to learn?
Oh man, I need to take the time to learn Spanish. I mean, the fact that I don't know it is absurd to me. My son, he's 3.5. He's going to Montessori school where the teachers only speak Spanish to him. So I downloaded Babbel because, I mean, if he knows it, I'm going to have to know it for sure. But it would make my life so much better if I knew Spanish fluently and was able to speak to it just Latin American style. So it's just the construction, the industries that are so commonly correlated to real estate, they just share everything. And to eliminate that language barrier would be very powerful.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you might just have to go and immerse yourself. Just take a 6-month vacation to South America or something. Go.
That's a great idea. Yeah. I think that'd be fantastic.
There you go.
Yeah,
I mean, that's really, to me, I mean, I speak a couple other languages as well. And that's the only way you really learn, is just immersing yourself.
Immersion.
Like, do not speak anything else. And just...
That makes sense.
You figure it out.
That makes total sense.
But you'd probably have to do it in some sort of construction environment also, so you can pick up the right words.
Yeah, that's totally fine. I mean, I know how to build stuff, and I'm sure they could use some help.
Oh, there you go.
That'd be a great option.
So fourth and final question is, what does success mean to you?
I think success is best defined as the achievement of goals that are your own, that you set for personal reasons, and along the way, you're helping in others' achievement of those goals. I find that real estate's very, very complementary to that mentality, because when I was brokering, sure, I'm investing time so that I can earn an income and commission, but the individuals on the other side are getting an investment property and a lot of guidance and resources to help them make the most of that investment. So I continue that on. And then I have investors that are investing inside Sage Investment Group, and we're actively purchasing and providing dividend. And that's awesome. I mean, I've got a couple of people that are no longer working, just that route for retired or taking permanent sabbatical from their jobs, and are in their 30s and 40s, traveling the country, traveling the world. I've had several that are foreign national investors that are investing from Europe, and they're bringing in dollars and then getting paid dividends and experiencing that and happy. So it's fun to have that kind of impact. And then I'm really excited about what we're going to be really launching at scale, which is our Sagey Baby program and the Labor Ready program, so that we can facilitate some betterment opportunities and giving hand up to people that are in need, so that we can make a difference, ideally, and make a difference in the community. We'll also be known for that. It's not completely altruistic. I mean, how great would it be to have a property that you own come to market as space for rent available for lease, and you're known as that property that provides supplemental diapers and formula for kids. I mean, that's who I want to attract to live there. So I think that all around, the concept sounds like a lot of fun, and I'm excited to get it going at scale. But I think the true version of success is defining your own goals and accomplishing them, and then supporting others in their ambitions and goals along the way.
That's awesome. And it is incredible. I mean, there are so many different ways, and I love the fact that you guys kind of found that way. And I'm sure as time goes on, you come up with other ideas and other creative solutions and ways to give back. But it's awesome to see that. I mean, I talked a lot to friends of mine and other clients and about impact investing and trying to give back within. But here's a creative way within your community itself to do that. So I'm sure others will pick up on this idea, and others will take from that. Maybe people are going to be reaching out to you. And on that note, how can people reach out to you? What's the best way people will find you?
Yeah, I welcome that. So my email address is probably the easiest, ross@sageinvestment.group. You can also go to our website, sageinvestment.group, and then I'm available by phone, 425-443-3192.
Awesome, Ross. It's been a pleasure. I really appreciate you taking the time out today and sharing some experiences and great stories with us, and wish you much continued success.
Thank you, Yona. I appreciate it. And thanks for the great cost segs. Constantly getting pumped out and helping me continue to reinvest.
Pleasure. It's always my pleasure. Have anytime. And to our listeners, thanks again for listening. And remember, the best advice comes only when you ask. Real quick, I have one question for you. Did you like this episode? If you did, I want to ask you a huge favor. See, the biggest thing that helps this podcast grow and that will spread this message to the whole world is that if you leave a review, a rating, and subscribe to the podcast. What that does is it basically tells the platforms that this podcast is out on is that you like my stuff and I'm doing something right. So take a few seconds out of your day, hit that subscribe button, leave a rating or review. I would be extremely grateful. Also, I want to hear from you guys. So I want to hear some feedback. If you have any questions for future episodes, please find me on LinkedIn. Send me a DM, a connection request, Yona Weiss, and I'd love to hear from you.